All right. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. It's 2 o'clock. I know how busy everyone is. Everyone should be able to see. I threw the agenda up on the screen. I hope everyone's staying warm. It's a little chilly this morning. So this is for those that there, we do have a few new folks on the line. So for those of you that are new, in the past, there used to be a manager meeting every month. They call them the manager mashups. In August, we decided to change the format. So just in the essence of time, and everyone is very short on time. So what we decided to do was transfer to a quarterly meeting that we would host. And just as a reminder, if there's something that you want us, my goal is to try and get the agenda out the week before. But if there's anything that you guys want us to cover, or if you have questions on something, please don't hesitate to reach out to June or I, and we'll try and get that on the agenda for you in time. Because this is for you guys. So we do have a lot on the agenda today just for things that NDOT wants to discuss, but at the end, we'll open up for any questions. So please don't hesitate to ask. I'm going to let right now NTD the report. So we did submit the first report. We did receive the findings back already. So we had 105 findings, which is still a lot less than we had the previous fiscal year. I'm going to let Carly touch on. So for those of you who haven't met Carly, Carly's new to our team. One of her main roles is she's overseeing our National Transit Database, or NTD report. There's a lot that goes into it. So if you've seen her name, I'm sure you guys have all worked with her at this point. But I'll let her give the update and just kind of what we're seeing as far as validation issues go, and then we'll move through. So go ahead, Carly.
Okay, hopefully my mic is working during this meeting. Yes, good. I brought a different headset. Again, my name is Carly, and I hear echo, so I don't know. Is everyone else hearing that, or are we okay? Okay, well, we wanted to give a quick update on the 2024 NTD report. As a reminder, this is a federally required annual report, and it helps keep record of transit financials, operating asset conditions, and this information is also used to track data on the industry and to provide public statistics. Is there still an echo? Someone said there's an echo. I don't know if there still is. I just saw it pop across. I'll keep going. So I really want to thank everyone who I've had the opportunity to work with. You guys have been great with getting responses over to me quickly as I've navigated learning how to do the report, in addition to understanding what we were reporting. We had over 100 validation issues during the first round, like Sarah had said, and now into the second round, and hopefully, I believe this will be final, we're down to about 55 validation issues. So this is going fairly smooth. Many of the validation issues are, first, the validation issues are any data point that is more than a 10% variance than the previous year. So it's comparing fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 24. The most common validation issues have been regarding vehicle revenue miles, vehicle revenue hours, which also with those combined is revenue speed. Additionally, total operating expenses, there has been a large increase in expenses, fares collected, and then a decrease or increase in ridership compared to 2 years. There was quite a few issues with like incorrect data in the Nebraska portal. So working with you guys, we were able to kind of correct some of that. So the primary way we are collecting this data and tracking it is in the portal. A lot of it is obviously in the operating section, but also in 4A. It is super important to check your work for accuracy. We do have a validation survey. If there's a data point that shows a 10% variance from the previous year, prior to 2022, this was monthly. So every time you entered your invoice, this would pop up if you had more than a 10% variance. 10% variance. We're working to have that come back to being monthly, because the past 2 years it's just been in the June invoice. So it was comparing the just in 1 month, but it is still compared to the previous year essentially. We're hoping that it will be a little bit more user friendly with instructions on the information needed, and hopefully it will also show you the data point that it's comparing to, so you can kind of see what that looks like, and we'll let everyone know when that is active again. Also, I'm happy to like coach anyone through that. There were a lot of answers in that survey data point. It's like pulls as a report for validation issues that said, I don't know why the data is like this. I don't know what this means. So just making sure we enter that information as we go throughout the year. It'll help us in September and October, especially me, so I don't have to go through and reach out to you guys like, hey, is your data correct? Hey, like we're seeing this. So I want to get on top of it throughout the year so that we're not doing it in September and October. Just want to make sure that goes a lot smoother.
Good.
Cool.
And then because this does affect our funding, it's our focus for the next 2 weeks. It's been my focus for the next 2 weeks. So if you've sent any ICB invoices to review, those will be my priority as soon as we wrap up this report. So just hang on. Those will be reviewed and submitted. Just trying to focus on getting this entity wrapped up. That's all I have.
Okay, and George had to step out, so we're gonna skip over the triennial reviews. Vehicle updates, so we've been seeing quite a few deliveries come in. I think we're over half delivered on our lowered floor minivans. We have another order coming in at the end of next month, I believe, is that when we're anticipating to see those. We also are being told that we will start seeing the the Ford Transits and the small buses begin to arrive next year. So once I get those once I get the assignments for who those were built for, you guys will be the first to hear. But that's exciting to actually start seeing some bigger vehicles come in. The ones that we've gotten, they've come in, no issues. And so right now our focus is clearing those off the lot to make room for the new ones. I'm trying my hardest to get them to you before snow hits the ground. But just to let you guys know, so once they're delivered to us, there's 2 inspections that have to occur. We have to inspect them, and then the State Patrol have to inspect them. So once those take place, then we can start requesting the titles and get those transferred over to you guys. In the past, I believe a lot of you would bring the checks with you. What we're wanting to do is we will send you an email once your vehicle is ready to go. We'll shoot you an email, we'll request payment, and we will request the certificate of insurance. This means there's a certificate. It's not the insurance card. We have to have the certificate on file. So once you see that come across from June and I, as soon as we receive those 2 items, we will schedule you for pickup. Once you arrive, we'll walk you through all the steps. We'll show you how everything works, and get you guys out of here and on your way with your new vehicles. When you guys pick them up, you don't have to worry about adding them to the portal. George and I will take care of that. So when you get back home, you should see that on your portal. If you don't, just make sure you let me know, and we'll get it added on there. The other part of vehicles are we do have the Ford Transits are due for renewal in April. So I'm working with DAS to see if we can't get, so as I mentioned previously, the all-wheel drives require a EcoBoost. That is becoming extremely difficult to get, and it seems like that is the main reason why these are getting held up. So we are looking to add the rear-wheel drive option on there. That seems to be the most popular one on the market because that's the one that they're able to get produced faster. By all means, this does not mean that you are going to be forced to take one of those. It's just an option. But I want to make sure that everyone's clear. If you do order any transits going forward and they are all-wheel drive, I cannot commit to how long it's going to take before they get here because Ford is in limited production. So we don't even know when they're going to get here. So just be wary of that when you're thinking in the future for ordering vehicles. Software. So let's see here. There's been quite a few questions about this. So just to recap, it looks like we have 18 of you that are outstanding to obtain and implement software. I think there's 4 out of those 18 that are already in the process of working through the contracts. So thank you to you. If you have questions about any of the vendors, please feel free to reach out to either myself or Corinne. Corinne knows all these vendors. She's been working pretty closely with them. So don't hesitate to reach out to her with any questions regarding those vendors. The process is once you've interviewed or you selected your vendor, at that time, you should have received an estimate from them of the services. Once you've decided what you're going to go forward with, at that point, you need to pull Olson in. They will help you through the agreement in the contracting of the vendor. The first agreement is going to be the contract is going to be between you and the vendor. Once you have that all figured out as to what modules you're going to go and you get the final invoice, that is when you send that to June and I. June and I will start working up an agreement that's going to be for the CARES funds because you're going to receive that $10,000 worth of CARES funds. So that's the second agreement you'll sign. We won't be able to process reimbursement though until you guys have paid your vendor for the product. So I hope that clears up there. That was I think where the confusion laid was there. What's the second agreement? So the first agreement is between you and your vendor. The second agreement is between NDOT and you for the money. So I hope that clears up. If not, make sure you guys ask me at the end of this. And like I said, we need you guys to be in the contractual stage at a minimum by the March deadline, because that's when we're going to push out. That's when you guys are going to start applying for the 26-27 funding. Oh, so if you have any questions, let me know. Driver training, we've been getting a lot of questions about this. So UNK is producing some information for us that we're going to push out later, just to kind of help better define what the difference is between what the scheduled training is and then what the on-call training is, and what goes along with that. So you will expect that. I was hoping to have it for this meeting, but we didn't get connected in time for that. So I will shoot that out. I did want to make sure that everyone's aware that all the drivers do have to have training. I know throughout the triennial reviews, there was quite a few drivers that have not had training for more than a year. So please make sure that you guys schedule that. If you can't find it on the website, let Georgia or I know. We can shoot you the link to it on what the requirements are for the drivers' trainings. Again, I told you we have some new folks on the line. So we do have 2 new transit providers. So Hall County is back in business, and Sharon's on, and I believe Bob McFarland's on. So Hall County is back in operations, and then Harlan County. So Harlan County had closed its doors in February of 2024. So Harlan County Health, so they are taking over the service. So they are getting things set up. I think they're going to plan on opening their doors in next month. So that's exciting. We won't have we will have service back in that area again. So welcome to the group. State management plan, that is still in progress. I have a feeling we will have a draft hopefully in spring. I'm hoping to have a new SMP to discuss for next year's management training. But I will shoot that out as soon as I have a copy to share with you guys. The dashboard, June, that one's yours.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, dashboard. Just want to kind of go over one of the things from the August training, the agency plans, the annual program documentation requirements. It's on page 2 of your guidance document to ensure that you are uploading any appropriate documents that your agency has, HR policies, health insurance policies, workers' compensation, indirect cost rates, and so forth, as they update each year. So I think we talked about October of doing all of that. So I want to make sure that everybody is doing uploading what they need, cost allocation plans. Anything that's out on the agency plans now, leave there. We're working with our IT person so that we can archive some old stuff and keep it for which kind of ties into the next item, state audits. So if we need them for state audits for the period prior years for state audits that we have that documentation readily available. So as far as anything else on the dashboard, I don't have anything else outside of we're working hard and diligently to get invoices up and reviewed and approved. I was out for about a week and a half, so I'm a little bit behind right now, but I'm hoping to get caught up by hopefully in the day tomorrow on all invoices. So one other thing about the dashboard and any agency plans is the square footage template that our internal auditor, Skylar, has created. If you are using that template, you need to make sure and upload that to agency plans. When you create that template, if we send you out the template, we want to ensure that something we did not discuss in the training, that we would like you to send that in and have Skylar review that template and your drawings, and to make sure that you are entering the square footage and information correctly as Skylar has created it before you use it on your dashboard invoice. So right now I have him reviewing Kimball's just because I did not know they were starting to use it. So it's my fault that I should have had you send it in prior to using it. So we'll go from there, and just wanted to let you know that on that template for square footage, if you're utilizing rent or utilities for a portion of the building and you're only utilizing a portion of a building. State audit. Just a reminder that each year we have a state audit every year, and normally they audit the prior fiscal year. So it's not, it's what has been paid during that prior fiscal year. So right now we are being audited right now by the state auditors, and they are reviewing invoices that were paid from July 1st of 2023 through June 30th of 2024. So what was paid, so some of them, if we are still working on fiscal year 24 invoices, those might get audited in fiscal year 25. So I just want to make sure that you all know it doesn't go by the month of the invoice, it goes by when the payment is made of what the state auditors review. So fiscal year 24 is now in process. And if I need to reach out to you for any additional information, I want you to be aware that there is a statute that says NDOT must reply to their questions within 3 business days. If we do not, we need to let them know and give them a status of why, or reason of why we cannot comply to that statute. So that's why when I send an email to you for additional information, I'm asking, can you have it back by X, like within 1 day? So very important to get that information back to us. Any questions on that? Or keep going, we get questions at the end, Sarah, probably.
Hey, really quick, since you're on that topic, what do they need? Do they need to delete anything that's currently on there on the dashboard?
Oh, the agency plans? No.
Okay.
No, we want to keep it for history. We're working with IT, with Clay, to archive prior year information off so we can still get to it. So when we do have state audits and maybe need to look at it, we have it there available instead of having to ask. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Travel reimbursements. So one thing here, just a reminder that any out-of-state travel reimbursements must be approved by Sarah prior on the out-of-state travel reimbursement form. I forget, I don't know if it's a specific name or what it's called. Just a reminder that if you're going to a conference or a training, I should say, that starts in the morning and you travel the day before, the first day of travel, the lodging and the evening meal is allowable to be reimbursed. If you go 2 days prior to the start of the conference, that lodging and meal is not. Airfare would be reimbursed, but not the lodging and the meals. The other thing is to make sure we had started down a path of per diem for the RTAPs, which was our confusion with our internal auditors, that the per diem is not going to be used on any RTAP reimbursements at all. It's only going to be used on the 5311, any travel within the 5311 dashboard invoices. So I want to make sure we're clear on that to everybody because we've had some confusion, and we are working on some RTAP guidance documents that are more detailed than what's in the guidance document you have for RTAP reimbursements, so that it's a guidance for us to follow and a guidance for you guys to follow when you're entering those into the dashboard. I think that's it. Anything else, Sarah, I might have
June?
missed?
I have a question. When you say no per diem on the RTAP, do you mean not even mileage to go to these things? Is that what you mean?
No, for the meals,
Just meals. Okay.
yes. Yeah,
right.
mileage is reimbursed. And I guess since you bring that up, RTAP mileage is only if you are using your personal vehicle to travel to that training.
Right.
If you are using a transit vehicle, you cannot ask for mileage. All you can do is put in for fuel for that trip. If you have to fill it up, depending on the distance.
Okay.
And
Thank you. Yeah, most of our-
that mileage rate is based on the state approved mileage reimbursement rate.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Last one here.
I don't know if you saw the question from Brian, that there was, can you clarify what per diem is?
Per diem is well, Sarah, you might be able to answer that a little bit better, but it's just a rate depending on where you're at within the United States of a meal reimbursement rate instead of going by your receipts and what you've spent. So it's a little bit easier, I think, for them to for travel if you've got a lot of traveling going on. Anything else? I mean, so it's a per diem, a certain amount for breakfast, a certain amount for lunch, a certain amount for dinner, and then they give you a $5 incidental. So it's just one of those. I think Tammy Appleby and Sarah, if you have questions, you can ask them a little bit more in detail.
Yeah, Brian, I can follow up with you if you have any other questions about it. But I think you covered it, June.
Yep.
All right, you want to go through tools and then I'll cover the other questions that are on the chat.
So the tool review for the budget. So I'm going to share my screen. We have a budget template that you are going to be receiving shortly. Let's see, can you see that? Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah, okay, there you go. Sarah was sharing, I need to, so can you see the template now, everybody?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so this will be your master budget template for 26-27, and it's an Excel format, and basically it is going like the dashboard is non-operating services. We're going to be adding in here the worksheet letters, for non-operating, the 2A, the 2B, or whatever it is for this. So you will go down and you will fill out the information. Transit manager, you'll fill out the salary, taxes, your fringe benefits. You'll put information in the annual or monthly, depending on what's easiest for you guys. Operation managers, administrative, and then it just goes down through your facility. If it's a lease or rent, your utilities, and then if there's any additional more than one building that you either lease or rent. The insurance, the different types of insurances for your vehicles and your buildings, workman comp, the technology system, so your software, so your annual maintenance fees for your software or for the demand response or FlexRoute, your internet service, your vehicle cameras, and so forth. So we've tried to detail out a lot of items that all subrecipients would have. If you want to detail a little bit more, you can always enter or insert a line item within these lines so that it picks it up. Marketing ads, your TV, radio, your contracted services, like if you have an accounting bookkeeping service, and any accounting or bank fees or rental, repairs on your vehicles or contract maintenance. This would be like your include details we put in there so that if you have your vehicles being repaired by like the city county or by a specific vendor out there. Travel, any training that is not going to be through RTAP, that is for just for some other operation administrative staff training. Then this is some of your miscellaneous in-house or other your admin fees, public carrying uniforms. These are just some things, your memberships that are allowable. Your drug and alcohol background checks. That would be your total non-operating administrative services. Then you'll get into your operations, your 50 federal, 25 state, and then 25 local. So this would be your payroll information again, your dispatchers, your drivers, the salary, and then your fringe benefits that the employer is paying. Health insurance, your 403B, 401k, dental insurance, anything like that that the employer is going to pay, so that transit is paying for the employee. And then your fuel and oil and any other miscellaneous to include details there also, so that we know what it is, not just a miscellaneous lump sum number. We want to make sure you detail it out. Then after that will be your vehicle and other capital improvements. So this is where we want to capture in your budget what you want to put in the budget for replacement or expansion of either vehicles or for cameras, radios, phones, tablets, facility expansion, facility maintenance, bus stop shelters, and so forth, so that we get those costs accumulated and know ahead of time, instead of you just calling us one day saying, hey, I need a facility expansion here or something like that. So then you have your fair revenue. So here's your fair revenue, which is on 1A, worksheet 1A. So your demand response, your flex route, and sponsored. So we want to sponsored fairs and other, like your MTM motive care. If we have this detailed out in the budget, we'll be able, that also is going to help Carly and NTD, if we have it in your budget, to understand your organization and your operations a little bit better. Then you'll have your net budget, your total non-operating, your total non-operating plus operating minus your fair revenue will be your net budget. And then this will just calculate your state and federal reimbursement. And then down here under local match, you will list out where the local match is coming from. If you're getting it from another county or donations, another city, foundation, or if it's coming from Medicare. So Medicaid, not care, sorry. Medicaid should only be included if local match is less than required. So we want to make sure you do not put any more in local match worksheet 1B than you're needed. The calculated year-to-date of local match is the dollar amount you need to make sure you have on 1B by the end of the fiscal year. If your Medicaid trips is way more than what you need for local match, then those need to go on 1A, your operating revenue, the money you receive for those trips. Then there'll be tabs down here. There's a benefit and salary tab that will kind of help you with calculate and do some calculations for Social Security, unemployment, Medicare, and to list your employees out. So you can put names to it. So you have a worksheet that will total up so you can go put it back into your budget. The fleet list is also another for your vehicles. So to where you can do it there, or you can do it if you have it in another place, attach it. Same with your benefits salary. If you don't need to use this and you have a report out of your software that can do the budgeting of that, then just attach it to this worksheet. There is some instructions at the front, so you can read through them when you get it. And this is just an example of a summary invoice with the different worksheets. Okay,
This
Any
is
que-
Carla again. I have a question on these budgets, but when we're doing this new software that we're being forced to do, we don't have that on our budget this year. Where are we to show that on this so that we get reimbursed from the NDOT?
well, so the software needs to be in place prior to fiscal year 26 starting,
I
which is
understand that.
July.
I understand that, but we don't have it in our budget now.
And
Right,
we know,
so- In our
we
budget.
know that, Carla. So if you run low, if the agreement that you currently have, if you start to run low on that budget, we'll supplement it because we know we're adding that. So don't worry about having it budgeted on. If you need, if let's say your state and federal funding start to run low because of the cost of that, we can supplement that.
I'm worried about the county, I guess, because our counties are not going to give us any more money. And when you're talking $125,000, that's a lot of county money that we don't have. So it's really going to put a lot of people in a big financial bind of where to come up with those funds, I think. So this year, especially because their budgets are all in place and we've been told by a lot of them that they will not give us any more money. So just something to think about at your level as we're the biggest transit system in Nebraska for the 5311, and we're going to struggle hugely to come up with that match, even though it is only 10%.
Are you saying 125,000 for the software? Is that what you're saying?
I looked at the bill. We already have ours from Tripmaster. It's huge bill. 107, maybe it's 117,000, but it's still huge.
Let's take a look at that offline.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll set up a
Yeah,
meeting
it's
for in because
it's way more than I thought it was be. I thought it was going to be 30,000-40,000 something, but
we'll set up a meeting with Corinne and we'll go through that because that seems pretty high.
okay. All right. I appreciate that, Sarah and June, a lot. Thank you so much.
Yep, and I do want to mention, I know June said on that benefits and salary, taxes and fleet list, those you can add in pages for the 26 and 27, even if you have your own budget format. When you submit your application in March for funding, we need you to include this template because this template is going to be carried over to the new agreement format. So just be cautious of that. If you usually are normally preparing a different one and you submit it, that's fine. You can still do that if that's how you guys are doing it, but you need to fill in this one because this one is going to be carried over. So just want to make sure that we're clear on that one.
And I think just one more thing, that 3% inflation or whatever percent, I think we're saying 3% inflation. So when you put in 26 numbers, when you go to 27, you want to take any of those numbers times the 3% inflation rate for sure, plus any additional, like any additional hires, positions, or other expenses.
Yes. Corinne, are you on?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute trying to figure it out.
Okay. Do you want to share the 5-year plan template?
I do. If I can I just show my own? Yeah, it looks like I can.
Yep, I stopped sharing.
Thanks. And the shortcut version, because, sorry, hang on, the mouse has to work here. Ugh. The TDP, and everybody that has heard TDP, it can stand for a lot of things, but in our world of Nebraska transit agencies, it's a transit development plan. It's a 5-year plan that many of you, this will be a snap.
Corinne, we're not seeing your screen.
You
We're
can't
seeing the video. We're seeing the
see.
WebEx.
Weird. Okay, stop. Let me do a stop here. How can I just do my little, let me do Word here, share. Okay, how about this one? This one good?
Yeah,
And I'll just make it bigger besides my notes. Did that work?
Yep, there we go.
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, thanks. Sorry about that, guys. But the transit development planning process is a 5-year plan. There are many reasons of why state DOTs need to have transit plans so they can adequately plan for federal monies that are coming in the door. What that means is the agencies, the state is as good as the agency data. And so having a 5-year plan that reflects what you guys need, how do you serve your communities, and all of that documented into fiscal years so that the state is prepared that when federal monies come, when new grants come in the door, they know how much those costs and expenses will be. So we, through this process, you guys will receive this document. It's a pretty short document. It just talks about the guidance for preparing these plans. NDOT has been very gracious to get this guidance and give you the tool that June just walked through. And, you know, why do we need these? Because Sarah needs to know what the budget is. And when we get audited, that there's backup documentation from the agencies. I think many of the transit agencies in Nebraska will already have this information. It just needs to be put into these forms so that you can submit it on your grants for the springtime when you do your grant applications. But what happens is DOT already has a lot of your existing data. Our team will pull together that in your existing services. We'll need you guys to verify that data, make sure it's the latest and greatest, because that's what DOT is definitely going to want to have on file. We'll talk about your agency goals. This one is often the one that's most challenging, because you have to think about, what does a community want? What are you doing every day? And are you really providing what our community needs? And you can say, well, the community might need this, but I don't have the money. And that's okay. But if you're documenting those needs, the monies may not be here in year 1, but they might be there in year 4. But anyway, providing that data into your plan is something that NDOT wants to do, and to make sure we get it documented. So those forms that June just talked about, we'll do those out for 5 years. And you do have to update these every 2 years. So it's not a Bible, you know, it's not written in stone. It is a document that is living, because you do have to have that. But to give NDOT state team, they must have some kind of baseline level of expenditures that you guys are going to need for fiscal year 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Once we have these 2 pieces, it goes into a draft plan. It'll be a short document that provides that. And then your local governing board will be the one that approves this transit. So whether that's a hospital board, whether that's your county commissioners or your city, they won't be surprised, because you guys have to do budgets every year, and you do have 90 days to have that approved. So if your grant application goes in March, you still have a couple of months to get your board to adopt that. When that is adopted, then NDOT asks you all to load that into the portal, just as Sarah had talked about earlier, because they are trying to keep these backup documents on file. And of course, you guys have it at the agency too. So that, in a nutshell, is just the plan. We're here to help with your spreadsheets, with your guidance. You'll be hearing from our team, because we do want to have these ready for you this winter. And I say winter, going through like February. We'd love to have them wrapped up by February. So be on the lookout for emails, and, you know, happy to help you guys. We want it to be your plan, and these numbers need to, you know, match what your vision is for your agency and for the community. So happy to answer any questions, or, you know, like I said, you guys can shoot me a note offline, or, you know, give me a ring if you have other questions.
Okay, that was a lot to digest. All
There.
right, I'm gonna go through.
Sarah, I
Sure.
just want to say one thing that I kind of missed with this Excel budget template. If you need help, I'm here to help also with it. So if you have any issues. So.
Yeah. All right, so when will the template be available to us? I plan on sending that out right after this meeting, so you guys will see that come through. If you want cameras, so that's cameras for your vehicles. So if you are not going to purchase there's a couple variables. How many cameras you're going to need? What kind of price point are you looking at? If it's above the $10,000 micro purchase, and you're not purchasing it off the RFQ, then you'll need to get 2 estimates. If you're purchasing it off the RFQ through the software that you currently have, I know a few of them do offer that. That changes things. So I would say get a number of how many you need and get an estimate and send it to June and I, and we can discuss it with you because it is a case by case basis. It's not an easy, quick and easy answer, unfortunately. But I would say 2 is what we usually request. Let's see here.
Sarah, can I add to that one? Denise, if you all are still reviewing the CTS contract, which I think your attorney for the county was, CTS does have camera options. If you're interested, they could send you that information. So just FYI from your side.
Is this meeting being recorded? Yes, it is. We clarified per diem. We took care of the uploads. For those of you that have uploaded an vehicle application for 2024, we are going to get to those, I promise. We are finalizing all the documentation we needed for the last couple of fiscal years since all the vehicles are arriving. So we're getting close to getting to the end of that list. So as soon as we get through that, then we're going to start processing orders for the applications that are currently pending for 24. I believe there's, I think, 6 of you that have one in. So you'll hear from one of us as soon as we get to that, because we're going to need to call you about what specs you want included on those. Then I forgot to mention this. Thank you, Christy. The non-ADA contract. So the non-ADA contract, I was naive to think we would be able just to repost the old one. So there was changes downtown. So my understanding is, I think we're close to being able to send it out to downtown for approval before it can go out. The waiver was extended by FTA, so that has been extended, which is good, the non-ADA waiver. So we have a whole new clock on that. I do think we're going to get a lot of interest on the transits. I'm not sure about the lower floor minivans. I know that a few vendors they've had other states have gotten luck getting the non-ADA transit. So you guys I'll send that out to you guys once we shoot it out, just so you can see what it is. Sorry, I'm looking through the other ones. I think those are ones in the chat. Is there any other questions that we haven't covered or anything else that you guys want to discuss while we're on here? I know that was.
This is Kurt. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just a couple quick ones I had some notes on. Following your DAPM training and all that, RLS is suggesting those random drug tests be done at different times of the day. And he's even saying after hours. Well, there's costs associated with that. What is the state's policy on doing after hours drug tests as far as reimbursement? Or we just try and alter them within their normal business hours, but they really pushed us to do some, we run till 7 at night, do some at 6 o'clock at night, and have to do an on-call type test.
You go through Premier Biotech, don't you?
Yes.
So it should be charged to the state.
Even if it's an after hours with an overage?
Yeah, it should be billed to us.
No issues with that if we have to pay extra to kind of follow their guidelines for those after hour tests?
If you're going through Premier Biotech, it should come to us.
Okay.
If you have problems, let me know, but I haven't heard of any issues for the late testing.
Okay, because like our normal testing facility, they have to be there by 3:30, and Russ in his training said, we need to do them at 7, 8 o'clock at night or whatever too. So,
yeah, no, if you have problems with that, let me know. But no, it should bill directly to NDOT.
Okay, and then while we have all the training folks on here, and you and George, the trainings are the guidelines still you want to do the 2-day within 60 days, and then what are we looking at for refreshers and electives? We with our schedule, and I'm sure we're not the only one. I normally do staff meetings on Saturdays, and I can't just shut down with our routes. What are we doing? What are we looking at for options for electives? Which ties me into my question I sent you about driver email addresses. And what are your thoughts? Where are we at with that?
Driver email addresses. Whoops, somebody unmuted. Hold on here.
Yeah, this county will not pay for those because they only use them. They're only going to use them a few times a year for training, and the estimated cost through through Bytes Managed IT is about roughly $1,200 a year for those additional email addresses.
Yeah, so those are being reviewed by audit or by our auditor, so I'll get you an answer on those.
Okay.
And then as far as the electives go, send me an email on which ones you're looking for and I can talk to you and Kay. But once I get, like I said, I'm having them type up some information that we can shoot out that better clarifies what's available on call if it's within that 60-day time frame. So if there's something else that we need to be looking at, send it over. I'll talk to you and Kay about it and see what we can do.
Okay, yeah, we seem to be okay on the 2 days and the refreshers. It's just the electives we seem to be struggling with getting
Okay.
those done.
Okay, I'll put it on my list. Okay, any other questions anybody has?
Yeah, there's a couple more, Sarah.
Good, they come in. When will the 2025, so the 26-27 budget, that's due at the time of application, so that would be March of next year. Where are people going for early and or late drug tests? We do not have good luck in our area. Okay, so on Premier Biotech's page, when you log into your i3 screen, there is that tab that you should be able to contact or call for early and late testing. If you have any problems accessing that, let me know. There's been a few that had to call. I can send out the information that Premier Biotech sent me on how you find those. Looks like both of you did. Keita did too. So I can send that information to you as far as where they told me to find it. If you have problems, let me know. Cassandra at Premier Biotech's been handling all of that stuff. So I can definitely get on the phone with you if you guys are still having problems finding early and late access. If you don't use Premier Biotech, that is where we'll coordinate with. Just let me know. I'll set up a meeting with you and RLS, and we can discuss what your options are. It is a requirement of FTA for early and late testing. So if your current testing location doesn't provide it, you'll have to identify somewhere that does. It's not an option to waive it. We have to do it. So we can work with Sean and company RLS to get that tracked down. There's a lot of questions. Sorry, going through them all. Weekend training, right now, it's not scoped in the contract with UNK to offer weekend training for either. So that would have to be an out of scope thing. So let me know what you're looking for on the side and we can discuss what options are available. But otherwise, I think everything else, I think there's a few other questions that folks want to talk offline about, but any other last minute questions you guys have?
Sarah, I have a question on the budget. So are we submitting the 2-year like we did before, or is it just a 1 year?
2 years. So you're going to submit for 26 and 27. So we're currently in fiscal 25.
Okay.
So
So
you'll be budgeting for 26 and 27.
26 and 27, so just 1 year. And is that due March, the end of March or the beginning of March?
It's beginning of June. Do we have a date? When do those normally come in?
No, I think we've in the past it's always been in March sometime. So it probably depends on when we get the template out to them and what all questions back and forth is since this is something new. So I think by the end of March is probably enough time in order to get agreements and review them and agreements. But that's kind of, since it's a new process, we might want them earlier, mid-March. So maybe we should say mid-March by now.
Yeah, so it'll be, they're on that template that we're sending out, there's 2 tabs. There's a tab for fiscal 26 and then there's a tab for fiscal 27. And so you need to make sure that if you aren't already going to plan for it, make sure that you account for, like we had mentioned earlier, that 3% inflation for 26 and the additional 3% inflation for 27, just to make sure you're covered because there's so many unknowns that you're not going to know at the time. So
So I'm still confused. Is it a 2 year or is it a 1 year?
2-year budget cycle. So we're
2 year.
currently in fiscal year 25.
So 26 and 27. Okay,
Fiscal year 26 and then fiscal year 27 are the ones that we're looking for.
cool.
Good morning,
Sarah?
Thomas here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Is it okay to ask a big picture question?
Go ahead.
The new administration is going to be taking effect in January, and all they're talking about is all the major cuts they're going to make in the federal programs. Where do we sit in that?
I am not aware of anything yet.
Okay.
Sarah, can you tell us where we're at on the intercity bus applications for the next 2-year cycle? And when they'll be due?
June, do you know when those will start?
I'm sorry, say that question again.
When are the intercity bus applications going to be due?
I believe she did them about the same time as the operating. That was done by Lucinda Pryor, and I'm trying to think of where I might have that information, but
So plan on mid-March and we'll send out a note to
yeah,
confirm.
yeah, we haven't set down all those dates and all that stuff.
Are they gonna be different? You know?
Different applications, you mean?
Yes.
No, not that I know of. Not right now. I don't. They should be the same as in the past.
Thank you.
Anything else anybody have?
If we're getting, Sarah, real quick on this new 2-year template, since we're going to break it down much more specifically, will
Mhm.
that eliminate some of the documentation needed, like when we have budgeted for, say, new computers or new tablets? If it's clearly in that broken down budget, are we still going to need to go through you for approval on some of these purchases, or how's that going to work?
The budget is going to help make sure that we have enough. It's going to help Gene and I make sure that we have enough funding for whatever you guys are applying for. That's where that's coming into play. No, you're still going to be required to include the supporting documentation that you would today. And the pre-approvals on anything over $10,000 you would have to get for, unless it's otherwise distinguished in the guidance document.
Okay, so still under the 10,000, as long as we had it built in and our operating agreements approved, just, packing lists, invoices, whatever, we should be good then, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Five minutes left. Anything else anyone wants to cover?
Well, just so they're the one question to publish in the paper, correct? So I just, you have to publish in the paper your operating assistant application for those 2 years.
Okay.
And fiscal year 26 starts on July 1st of 25. Corrected myself there. March 14th for a deadline. That we will have to kind of look at it, but
Yeah, we'll send that out.
we'll send that out.
Everything else, I think, well, you guys can anticipate as soon as we hang up the phone on this, we'll send out the budget template and we'll include the worksheet on each line so it's easy for reference point. And then there's a few of you that have a few things you want to discuss on the side. Just, yeah, shoot me an email. We'll set up a time to discuss anything you guys need to discuss further. Otherwise, I will keep you posted on the non-ADA contract for those vehicles. And then as soon as I get delivery notices, I will let you guys know. As we get closer to snow, we're probably gonna be trying to push them out as quick as we can just because we want them on the road. So like I said, as soon as we get the certificate of insurance payment, you guys are free to pick them up. So we'll coordinate that. And
I did have one other thought, Sarah, real quick. I had emailed you and forwarded it to the mobility management guys, folks. The new legislative bill, it's 1500, whatever, the foreign adversary clause and the requirement for that signature. Has that been moved up to the Attorney General or anybody to review that and see how that will affect our software contracts? Because they're located all over the country and all over the world.
Sarah,
go ahead.
can I jump in on that one? Kurt, for your contract, thank you for sending that. We did send that to an attorney. The existing contract that you have with Route Match /TripSpark right now, and all of the other agencies that have the DOT contracts, there is a clause on one of the pages, I apologize, I don't have it open, that says that every transit vendor for software, that there are 8 of them, that they must follow the Nebraska technology guidelines, and they had to sign that when they approved. It doesn't say exactly what this new statute says, and so we sent that to an attorney for review, and I haven't heard back, Kurt, yet on that one. The safest way is you can always add an addendum to that contract that's with this one. But I do think the existing language in the RFP from 2020, when it says that the vendor will comply with the Nebraska technology statutes, that probably is okay. We just wanted a legal review on that. So coming soon, Kurt, I just haven't heard back from them yet.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And Sarah, I don't know if you're aware or not, but if there's any special side notes or anything as far as our legal notices, we do have a lot of our rural newspapers that are closing. So I just wanted to kind of share that with people, that they might need to go elsewhere for their legal notices. And that some of those, and I know Charles, I know that there's a lot of other agencies that, like, if you have to go through Lee Enterprises, you do have to plan ahead and see when their schedules and make sure it's going to work out with what the requirements are to kind of meet your calendar requirements with their publishing schedules and whatnot. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I know in our service area that we are losing 3 within the next month, 3 newspapers. So just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Sarah, is that going to be moved to a one publication?
Oh, that's my goal. We have to revise the Title VI plan before that can take effect. But that is my goal, is to eventually get it down to what's required. I mean, you can always go above and beyond, but I want to get it down to what FTA is requiring of us. So, but I think you and I discussed that before when I looked into it. It does look like, because it's written in there and it's been approved, we would have to go through the approval process to get the Title VI plan, NDOT Title VI plan revised and approved by FTA before that would go into effect.
So
because
that probably
late
won't
written-
happen by budget time then.
No,
We'll put
no.
it on 2. Okay.
No, I think the last how do I say that? The last document that went through approval, it took a couple of years to get it approved, just through all the audit, the revisions and stuff like that. So that's my goal, is to get it to what's just required.
Well, and that's important because, you know, these newspapers closing, it's kind of a disaster to get 2 of those in. So, but
that and keeping on the calendar, trying to time out the calendars and things like that, it's extremely difficult. I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. So, but yeah, that is something that I've got flagged for when we do revise the Title VI stuff. All right. Well, we're getting close to time, so I will let you guys go because I know how busy everyone is. If you need anything from June or I, please make sure you include both of us on an email. And we're not trying to miss anything or ignore anyone. We're trying to get cars out the door. So, and if I don't answer within a couple days, please don't hesitate to resend it to me. I hate to say that. It's just I'm dividing myself between here and the hill trying to get those vehicles moved. So if you have any, or you can give me a call too. I'll get you called back as soon as I can. But I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving. We'll be in touch. Thank you all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.